Hi guys, this is John from philosophies.com. I've just finished the IKFF Kettlebell certification with Steve Cotter here, and we're just going to run through a few key questions about his training philosophies, nutrition and all that kind of thing. So Steve, thanks for taking a bit of time out for me.
Pleasure, John. Thank you.
The first question is, can you start by telling us about your training and lifestyle philosophies in terms of what your objectives are mentally and physically?
Absolutely. My greatest influence has been through the Chinese martial arts. So the general idea is I believe in balance. I believe the objective is to achieve a balance in life, in exercise program, in our health, in our well-being, in our overall lifestyle. Meaning, of course, I want positive things in life. I want high quality of life. It's important to be able to balance all qualities to have a well-rounded life. So, in terms of the training philosophy, that means a balance of strength, cardiovascular conditioning, flexibility, athleticism, mobility, the ability to be well-rounded in the most important athletic attributes and physical attributes.
Okay, so like you said, obviously your background is in martial arts. Why did you bring the kettlebell training to it? Why do you see them as a key tool?
Well, I became aware of kettlebells in 2002. I was after having been a professional martial artist for many years, fighting full contact martial arts, competing on an international level. I went from that to training all day, every day, as a teenager into my mid-20s to being a full-time college student. So I went from training all the time to not training very much at all. And after a few years of full-time college, I noticed my conditioning was starting to deteriorate. So I became aware of the kettlebells, and I thought it would be a fantastic way of training the whole body, which was very complementary to the principle of martial arts, where we use our body as an integrated unit, as compared to something like bodybuilding, where you're isolating muscle groups. So that was very appealing to me. The fact that I was becoming much busier with a family, with my school, I didn't have the time to train all day, every day. So I was looking for something that was very comprehensive in the way it trained the body, but also very efficient in the amount of work it can do in a given unit of time.
Okay, so in terms of your style of kettlebell lifting, obviously I've done a kettlebell course before, and you actually kind of reverse the whole process in terms of different breathing patterns, working for efficiency, working for time. Can you just explain for us a bit more about why your style is different and what you're aiming for?
Yes, well, I have my style of teaching, which is, again, very heavily influenced by the martial art, the Qigong, meditation, general athleticism that I've incorporated with kettlebell lifting. But in terms of the kettlebell, I won't say it's my style. I've been influenced by different mentors, different champion athletes. Basically, historically, if you look at kettlebells and how it's been used, it's used as a sub-maximal tool for developing strength and endurance. So it's never really been a tool that was used for limit strength or one repetition max, simply because the kettlebells are not heavy enough. What has occurred in the West in the past 10 years, the kettlebells were first exposed through Pavel Tsatsouline, and he's considered the modern father of kettlebell movement, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. However, Pavel's method is very rigid. They refer to it as a hard style, which is an analogy of hard style martial arts. So it wasn't until my initial exposure was through Pavel's system, and I found I was able to master his methods very quickly because of my background in the arts. But when I went to Russia in 2005, I saw a much higher level. I saw athletes that are just exponentially beyond anything that I could see Pavel do or anyone in the States. So I became very intrigued by that. Subsequently to that, I became familiar with Valery Fedorenko, and I was able to study with him and learn his methods. It's much more relaxed, much more fluid. But the general idea, for one thing, I'm interested in longevity. Myself, not so old, I'm 39 now, but there's a difference between being 39 and 29 or 19. And the problem with hard style lifting is it's it can be very injurious to the joints because they're using a lot of force to lock everything out. The softer style of lifting is much more suitable for longevity. You can lift into your older years. The other point is much more interested not in just a basic level of fitness, but a high level of fitness. And to be able to achieve a high level with kettlebells means to be able to put up a great volume of work, to put up many, many reps without putting the kettlebell down. So there's no way to accomplish that using a hard style method. The only way to accomplish that is to be very relaxed and very efficient. So basically I model after what I've learned from the best lifters in the world, and I don't try to reinvent the wheel. I try to absorb those principles and then teach those principles.
I think something I've heard someone say to me before, they were a bit confused about your style. They were always saying, well, how would you use it for explosive athletes? They seem to think that training with your style means it's just kind of slow and steady. Can you clear that up for us? Like, how do you, if you're training a fighter, how would you combine your methods to develop explosive power?
Great question. First of all, the people that would say that probably I'm much more explosive than they are as an athlete, so the proof of the pudding is in the eating. I can demonstrate explosive movements quite well, so I have a lot of experience with that. But what I would say is there's a confusion. Expressing power in every move is not necessary. If you look at highly trained athletes in any sport, much of their training is sub-maximal. They're not doing full exertion. Whether you're looking at a boxer, a champion boxer is not hitting the bag as hard as he could every round. He's working on rhythm, he's working on timing. It's quality of movement, and athleticism comes first and foremost through the fluidity of the movement. As it relates to kettlebells, if the goal was to build maximal power, maximal strength, then I would say that kettlebells is not necessarily the first tool. For example, Olympic weightlifting is going to be a better tool if your goal was absolutely to build maximal power. Kettlebells is for developing a combination of strength and endurance. When you look at fighters, fighters are explosive athletes, however, they're not explosive throughout the whole round. There's a pacing involved, and someone can be the most powerful athlete or fighter in the world. If he's powerful for one round, but he can't be just as powerful at the end of, say, the 5th round, then he's not going to be successful. So the goal is to be able to sustain your power over the course of the event in an athlete's case. So that's really my style of kettlebell lifting actually simulates that, is you can be strong at the end as you are at the beginning, and you can have self-control and patience and the discipline to be able to use your power only when it's necessary. So you're never using full power all the time.
Okay, excellent. Now, obviously, we're here in London at the moment. I know you've been to Malaysia, Milan, all over the world.
Yeah.
How do you maintain your own training and make sure you're, like you say, still powerful, still at your peak, or roughly at your peak all year round while you're travelling? So a lot of people use travelling as an excuse not to train. I can't get fit because of that. How do you manage that?
Well, first of all, I believe in leading from the front. I believe that it's inconsistent for someone that's a fitness professional to not have a certain level of fitness themselves. So I consider it a professional and ethical responsibility to keep myself at a certain level. The other thing is, you've been through the course and you know that I do everything with the students. So I'm getting a ton of volume just in the courses alone. So having said that, we have to make choices, and my focus is on teaching. My focus is not as a professional athlete anymore. So for me, I'm not necessarily in peak condition as I would be if I was in one place and able to train all day, every day. So I do the best I can. A lot of it comes from my experience. I know my body because I've been training for so many years. I understand how to regulate what I eat, my rest, and my workload to be able to maintain a basic level and a sort of a homeostasis. And then when I work, I focus on quality over quantity. So when I work, I train very hard and very focused, and that actually counts for a lot, because a lot of times people are trained, they're putting in a lot of time, but it's not focused training, so they're not getting as much benefit. So it's quality, and it's the fact that when I do train, I train for real. That counts for a lot. But there's no way to have an optimal training program when you have the schedule I have, so we just have to do the best that we